They say Dominicans are the Connects.
In Washington Heights.
In Washington Heights. In Washington Heights.
All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. I used to cop.
In Washington Heights.
In Washington Heights. In Washington Heights. In Washington Heights.
All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. I used to cop.
They say Dominicans are the Connects.
Timing was everything because all the older hustlers had faded out.
All of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. I used to cop.
In the 1960s and 70s, Dominican immigrants began arriving in Washington Heights following the assassination of Dominican dictator Rafael Trujillo in 1961. And for a majority of the Dominican people, there was no love lost.
In Ciudad Trujillo, there are frenzied demonstrations as the people of the Dominican Republic pour into the streets to enjoy the rights of free men after 3 decades of Trujillo rule by force.
Libertad, 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 libertad.
Washington Heights is in the area of a historic neighborhood called Hamilton Heights and Sugar Hill, where hundreds of millions of dollars have been made in the underworld, dating back to the Harlem Renaissance of the 20s and 30s. With famous clubs, restaurants, and after-hour spots, it was black gangsters that controlled that underworld market. The Italians may have had the product, but they didn't control that Harlem area. Once the Colombians stepped in, the Italians was faded out.
But so many of them niggas was getting knocked off, and niggas was going to jail, and niggas was snitching on them.
So that allowed the Colombians to come in and fill the void.
Yo, they started giving it to a nigga cheaper than what the Italian niggas was giving it to a nigga for.
The early 80s brought a change to that area and the underworld market, with federal indictments coming down hard on black gangsters that left that market wide open.
All the older hustlers had faded out, and the game was wide open.
In the early to mid-1980s, the Dominican population grew to over 40,000 in Washington Heights.
Secret offensive is underway tonight in the war on illegal drugs. It is aimed at stopping the supply.
The United States has sent 6 Black Hawk assault helicopters and 160 U.S. Army pilots and maintenance personnel to Bolivia.
America's crackdown shifted the cartels to find other routes.
The cartels find new routes for their product. One of them now goes through the Dominican Republic.
This is the expanding pipeline. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of now being flown here from Colombia on the way to the streets of America.
The Dominican Republic is the Caribbean's most sought-after territory for traffickers.
Many politicians and police here take bribes to look the other way. The average Dominican makes about $50 per month, barely enough money to survive. On the streets of America, they can make thousands of dollars in profits every week. It's a temptation that more and more people here are finding hard to resist.
There is no money left in order to do anything here. There is no job.
But the way out of poverty for some comes at a high cost to the majority, many hoping to get rich quick.
I got convicted of possession.
It's a ticket out of the ghetto. I'll go to America, some Dominicans say, and come home rich, or in a box. They've become the cartel's latest couriers.
Timing was everything.
With the emergence of this new product in the inner city, the demand was high, but the quality and price was way down. The product that hit the streets in the mid-80s was a cheaper form than what was out in the 70s and early 80s. One reason was a ban on ether, a chemical compound that was once used in the making process. And 2, more hands were involved, allowing it to be stepped on and cut with cheap chemicals before it hit the streets. In New York City, the prices went from $60,000 a brick in 1980 to just $16,000 in 1986. As a record number of product was being sent to America, the cartels needed more distribution outlets. And the perfect timing of the new route to Dominican Republic, with the increasing number of Dominicans coming to America, the new connect to the cartels was established.
The Dominicans had it, they needed somebody to move it. You know what I'm saying? The blacks was the ones that could move it.
Dominican organizations began to emerge during this time. Like the Wild Cowboys, the Red Top Crew, and the Jerry Curls were just a few.
And new developments this morning. Police have busted 2 large operations. So we're talking about $35 million seized by police.
Questions. That's what investigators are going over right now after a huge money seizure.
That's right. The cash was stuffed in 4 large duffel bags. Now the questions are who and what is that money connected to?
It is part of a larger ongoing investigation into a multi-million-dollar trafficking ring.
Off the top tonight, a bus netting a jaw-dropping $24 million in cash.
We're talking stacks of $100 bills, all of it sealed in buckets.
It's a big-time dealer secretly in business and with an inventory of worth more than $10 million.
Investigators say this is just the tip of the criminal iceberg.
Authorities can't even begin to estimate just how many millions are changing hands every day. But however you add it up, the figures are staggering. According to police officials, one operation in this building alone brought in $30 million in a 6-month stretch. 3 Dominican gangs operating along this block allegedly used this building and several Amsterdam Avenue bodegas for a enterprise bringing in $50 million a year.
It's called America's dream. We got to make money too, you know what I'm saying?
And by the mid-1980s, Washington Heights became the go-to for many young hustlers across the 5 boroughs.
Get the money, dollar bill, yo.
Residents began to open neighborhood businesses, some with proceeds from the underworld. Dominicans made Washington Heights their home and was proud of their community. That pride was evident in the early 90s when the community came together and stood as one, when a controversy encounter with a resident and a police officer led to a massive protest.
Carrying limbs torn from trees and a fast-rising rage, a crowd of demonstrators took to the streets and demanding justice in the case of Jose Kiko Garcia.
Now, these problems have been going on since Friday night. Earlier today, Mayor Dinkins visited this exact area.
I came to pay my respects and offer my condolences to the family and to assure them that everything that can be done will be done, thoroughly investigate the circumstances.
You don't see this in downtown. You don't see people getting shot at downtown. Only up here. Why? Because we Spanish? Because we black?
In September of 2018, Little Dominican Republic was proclaimed an official designation in the Washington Heights Inwood neighborhood that showcase and reflect the Dominican culture and heritage.
Hustlers. If you believe it, then you too can be a hustler.
By any means necessary.
Hustlers. Republicans and Democrats.
Conservatives, labor, the seller, the buyer, the product, the producer.
So you are what you are. Hustlers.
Who's absorbed and adored by those that don't understand the laws that govern.
Hustlers.
It allows you to make up your own laws and create brand new works.
Hustlers. The mentality. An American way. If you believe it, then you too can be a hustler. Damn, it feels good.
Damn, it feels good to be a
hustler.
How they be like, just down the drug dealers this, drug dealers that. But now you got all the rappers, they acting like they want to be drug dealers, and then you got niggas that's drug dealers that just want to get out the game, and then you got these cats acting like they playing the game. They make it bad for people like us, cause it's like, they make it seem like it's all right to live that life. When it's like, but when it comes from us, it's basically we just trying to just let it be known that you can live that life, but this is what can happen if you live that life. So it's up to you, because the ball is in your hand.